Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So yes, this is a settings video, and I know there's already like hundreds of them on Arsenal, but I have some new stuff today that would be worth talking about that I don't think has been covered before, and there are things in here that have been not really used until more recently. So the first thing here, you can probably tell when I'm loading into the game, is that I play with shadows turned on, and this is something that's been becoming more popular because what it does is it allows you to see people behind corners or behind walls before you peek, and that can help inform you on where your opponent is. And if you combine that with some of the other things I've talked about on this channel before, like sound, which we will get into here, it would be really helpful to your playstyle because it would give you an advantage in a decent amount of scenarios that you wouldn't have had otherwise. The other thing here is that I play the game with high graphics. I play with 9. If your game is able to run this, you should do it, because playing at like 3 graphics when you don't need to, this just looks really terrible. And also when you are using shadows, you would like to run it at a higher quality, because otherwise they won't all load in and then you won't get the actual advantage from that. And lastly, the other really noticeable thing here is that I'm using a gray sky, and I personally find this to be nice because it helps me focus on the game, similar to how dark textures used to work. Like it would kind of just help your focus be on your opponents, because also, I mean, Sandtown's like default sky is kind of bright and it's like very sunny, and I just find that this makes it easier to look at my opponents. The way you do gray sky is with Blockstrap, and as you can see in this folder here, I have this linked in the description as a RAR file which you can extract. I've included some other things in here that we're going to get into, but anyways, I do have a version of Blockstrap that you can install. Blockstrap is really helpful for a lot of game modifications. So the way you would go to install the gray sky is go to engine settings, and then make sure allow Blockstrap to manage fast flags is turned on, and then you would scroll down to the fast flag editor down here, and then you can see this fast flag debug sky gray is set to true. And the way you get that there is you press add new, and then inside of name you have to type it in exactly the same way, so ff flag or f flag debug sky gray, like this, and then you would set the value to true with an uppercase T, and then press OK. And then once you do that and it shows up here, that would modify your game to have this. Blockstrap also has a number of other things you can mess with for rendering and whatnot. You can also get custom fonts in here by uploading a .otf or .ttf file. I personally don't use custom fonts, but if you want to, this is probably the easiest way to do it. The next thing we have in the folder is this Crosshair overlay master software, and this allows you to get a custom crosshair overlay without having to spend any money. So you don't have to get Crosshair X or anything like this. This is a completely free software. This came from 2Perfect's Crosshair tutorial that he made in like 2021. So when you open the folder, there's these various files in here. The only ones that really matter are the exe file and then the overlay.png. What you do is you run the exe file and it opens up this command prompt window here. And then now you can see I have this black custom crosshair, and this crosshair itself comes with the software, and it's also a pretty OG one because this one was used by a lot of comp players back in the day, like Some More Luck. And then the way the software overlays the image, this overlay.png, whatever this file is, it will overlay this, assuming it's a PNG and has an alpha channel. So you could put whatever you wanted into here as a transparent PNG and get it to overlay onto your screen. And if you want to do that, I've included also this crosshairs folder. These other overlays here are some of the extra ones, including the one I'm using now, also in some other resolutions. And then the other crosshairs, we have circles, these like classic crosshairs, crosses, some CSGO ones, and some dots. And then these, unfortunately, are actually not centered properly. You can see this image is only 20 by 20. So what you would need to do if you want to get this to overlay onto your screen correctly would be to go to an online image editor, something like Photopea or Canva, and basically whatever your resolution is that you're using, you would place this crosshair in the center of that, and then make sure that the background has an alpha channel. Once you save that as a PNG, you could then go into Crosshair Overlay Master and then replace this overlay.png with the new one. Another thing we have in here is an FX sound preset, and FX sound is probably one of the best softwares out there that I would use for sounding in this game. I made a whole video on this before, so if you're interested in the topic, I would recommend watching that. But anyways, if you open up FX Sound here, I already have the preset loaded in that's in the pack. As you can see here, there's this graphic EQ you can play with. This preset actually came from Onyx Valkyrie back in the day. Even though he used cheats, he was still a really good player, I believe, and this was his sound preset that he gave me. And then the way you would import the preset is to press these 3 lines down here, and then go to import presets. And then once you go from there, it would open up File Explorer. Then you would need to select this .fac file, and then it would load in these settings. Sounding is still really useful on this game. And again, I would recommend you to check out my sounding video that's linked in the time card because I go into more detail about it there, and it still works exactly the same way. The last thing we have in the pack is Reshade, and this can be used to get a shader menu or graphics settings menu inside of your game. And the way you would install this is by opening the exe here, and then click here to select a game and manage its Reshade installation. Once you would do this, you would need to select whatever you're using to launch Roblox. So let's say I'm using Blockstrap. So I just selected the Blockstrap exe, and if you don't know how to do that, you would need to search for Blockstrap in your Windows search bar. Then on this, go to open file location. You would then press open file location again on the shortcut, and then you would select this exe file here, and that would take you back inside of this. You would press the OpenGL button. It would then prompt you to select effects that you want to install, and you could just go ahead and install all of those. I personally haven't been using this a lot, but if you want to get like motion blur inside of the game that you could have while playing and not just as like a post-production effect, you can do that with it. So now for the boring part, my actual arsenal settings. I play with minimize view models turned on. I personally don't like having such a large thing on the screen because if someone is below you in certain angles, your view model could actually block them if you don't have minimize turned on. No textures. I personally play with them turned off. I just like the way the game looks with textures. That's just a personal preference thing though. FOV, really like most people use 86. You could also go lower if you wanted to. Crosshair color, this is all preference. I personally use white because it goes with my custom crosshair. And then in the graphic settings, like I mentioned before, I play with shadows turned on. But yeah, that wraps it up. If you guys need any help with installing anything, feel free to leave a comment or join my Discord server because there you can directly message me. The link for that is in the description. But yeah, anyways, I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you all soon. Peace.
Suicide days. I don't know why they always seem so dismal. Thunderstorms, clouds, snow, and a slight drizzle. Whether it's the weather or the letters by my bed, sometimes death seems better than the migraine in my head. I begin to assemble where weapons I